Hey, what's good, comic fans? This is Campfire Comics Top 3. It's a weekly video series where we bring you the top personal picks of comics that come out each week. This week was really tough. We had a bunch of comics to choose from, but we did manage to get it narrowed down. And so we're about to jump into those right now. This is a spoiler-filled video. We're going to talk about these comics like you have already read them. So they're going to talk in depth about the plot lines and the characters and everything that goes on. So if you haven't read those comics, go read them, come back to the video, and jump in with us. So you're here with Campfire Rich.
I'm Campfire Nate, and the first one we're going to talk about is Wolf #1. Now, Wolf is kind of a supernatural kind of detective kind of feel to it. If you're familiar with the television show Supernatural, or if you're familiar with I don't know, I kind of feel like it's a mix between that and like True Detective, you know, kind of has like some crazy stuff going on.
I didn't even pick up on Supernatural. I love Supernatural. I've like watched every single one of those shows, and I don't know how I didn't make that comparison, but yeah, it is very similar to that.
It's just between that and just, you know, you have a lot of interesting things that go on. You know, you got this crazy world that's out there, you know, and you know, you get slowly, but you know, throughout the issue. And by the way, this issue is huge. You know, this is an exercise issue. So you know, you say, "Whoa, $4.99, easy. I don't know if I want to pay that extra $1 or $2." It's worth it. It's like two comics in one.
It's like 67 pages or something like that.
There's all kinds of goodies in there, and it spreads it across. You know, basically introducing you to the main character, what he's, you know, the situation he's in. And basically this guy, he's, as far as he can tell, he's immortal. Guy can't die. I mean, no matter what, you know, he's starts off being set on fire. Doesn't show it, but the dude's basically on fire, and he can't die. So you know, that's interesting. So not only is he the main character, the detective, and he's you know, going after looking into stuff like that, he's also just like, you know, he's got his own supernatural powers. The dude's immortal. So
yeah, he's got a couple. I mean, for crying out loud, it literally starts with him on fire, and you know, then he's in this police station and he's being questioned by a human. And so you have your humans and you have your basically your supernaturals. And so far we've seen, you know, him who can't die. He runs across, and it picks up. It's weird where it goes because you're not sure what's going on. You got a guy on fire. He's being interviewed by the police, but apparently it's not an anomaly. Like, this is seems like it's a common thing. Like you just have supernaturals and humans living together, just kind of cohesive, right? Is that kind of the impression you was getting from this?
I'm not entirely, like, it kind of get that vibe like maybe the police are aware of it. Whether or not the general public is aware of it, I don't know. I haven't gotten that feeling yet, like it's being displayed like everyone knows what's going on. Obviously that particular detective kind of had an idea, but I don't know. I haven't seen enough of it. I mean, there's a dude walking around with a squid face, so I mean, obviously somebody saw him. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I'm not entirely sure how far it goes, if it's supposed to basically create a world where everyone knows, you know, that these people are out there. But it's obviously there's a lot of them, you know, because, I mean, you're introduced to many different kinds with many different types of abilities and many different kind of crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm. So we've seen Wolf, who's more or less immortal, you know, can't die easily anyway. He apparently has the ability to do mind control. Did it seem like he was, you know, we had that instance on the bus where this guy's like trying to practice, you know, he's not very good at doing his mind control, gets this woman to give him some money, and then Wolf talks to him, and it looked like he had done mind control on him. Do you think he has that ability or not? I don't know
so much he has the ability, or maybe he just knows, or he's aware of it, because it kind of comes across like another good example of this character would be kind of like Constantine. You know, Constantine might not be, you know, like all these people he comes across, but he knows how to do some stuff, like he has his own tricks. So that could have been its own trick. I mean, basically the two things that I got from it: he's immortal, and he obviously has some type of connection with the dead people that died in the war with him. Because he basically has these ghosts of fallen comrades basically talking to him, and you really aren't entirely sure about that until the very end, where the girl says, "Well, I can see them," and there they are, and you can see them.
Right.
So I'm not entirely sure what's going on, but everything that I've gotten from this oversized issue has got me pretty excited. I'm excited about it because, I mean, you throw Supernatural, Constantine, some detective action in there. I mean, I'm excited.
Yeah, and the guy, he's a tough kid, and I've said it over and over again with a lot of these comics that we talk about. I'm automatically going to be drawn to the ones where the characters are just tough and they're not sissy. This guy's not that. He's talking smack. I laughed out loud. I cracked up. I didn't get it at first when he was in that room, and he asked that guy, and he was like, "Hey, can you say something for me?" And he's like, "Robitussin, rough riff raff," or whatever. And I was like, what? I read it again. I didn't understand. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. And then I realized the guy he was talking to had like a lisp. And dude, I lost it. Like, I don't know why I thought that was so funny. I was cracking up. They knock him out. They throw him in the trunk, and when he gets out, he was like, "This is such and such." And he just kind of like, wham, just socks him right in the face. So he's definitely got some moxie to him, and not going to take any crap off anybody. But basically what we got is we got this guy. He kind of helps out both realms, the humans and the myth type people, the supernatural. But he's going to do a job for this racist guy who wants him to further his legacy somehow. We're not exactly sure what that is, but he's got a job for him to do. Wilson Freddy's going to try to kill him afterwards and whatnot. And then you have this other chick who was over this ridiculous murder scene, who hadn't said anything, but shows up at the end, and her name is Anita Christ, a.k.a. the Antichrist, which they hinted at really briefly from, Davy Jones' locker. They do with the octopus face.
I kind of got the vibe like maybe she was there and that was her parents, and her parents were killed, whether or not she killed her parents,
I got that too.
I'm not sure how that took place, but then also the voice that's in her head is supposedly her grandma telling her what to do. So, I mean, they've set up a lot of things that need to be answered, but not to an extent that it like overwhelmed you. You were able to follow along pretty well, and then get lost in all the little small plots that they were setting up. But I don't know. I'm excited to read the next issue.
Yeah, same.
The next one, I think we're just going to go right to Old Man Logan, or for some people might be called the Lost 2, because that's how I feel. Old Man Logan has pretty much put me into a tailspin of I don't know what the story is. Now, I'm enjoying it because I'm enjoying, getting to see, bits and pieces of stuff for people who read Marvel comics and, understand half of this. It's kind of fun. It's like, ooh, look at this. Ooh, look at that. But as far as where they're going with the story, I have no freaking clue. It feels like, he's on a mission. The only thing that I've gotten consecutively through every issue is that he really wants to get to Doom. He wants to be put beside Dr. Doom, and that's the only cohesive thing I can get from this. I mean, if this is his going back to get back at Doom for them having Mysterio wipe his memory and him or mess with his head, but then again, you're not sure if that even happened. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm lost. Like, I was lost reading it. I know if somebody's gonna watch this video, I'm like, y'all are some idiots. Y'all don't understand exactly what's going on to split this, that, and the other. I'm sorry. I'm not getting it. I mean, literally, he's in his world. He crosses a wall.
I'd like to see that, because if you could explain it to me, I mean, maybe I'm just not as deep as you are.
Yeah. Let me know. Maybe I found some stuff on it that cleared up some stuff, because
I'm confused.
Really what's throwing a wrench in it is the X-Men, like in the original, he killed the X-Men. And in this one, you still have the X-Men. So
well, it could be.
it's not more territory split up or anything like that, but it was confusing as Tony Stark made a comment about, oh, he come over the wall. He come over Doom's wall. So there's definitely a wall. There's something on the other side of that wall.
And
So it's not like it's just a figment of his
is.
imagination. Like there was definitely something that he come over, and because Tony even made another reference about, oh, they even know me in the other realm or other world or whatever. I don't even remember what he said.
But he also says, don't you remember me? Do you remember this name? And he's like, no, I've never heard of you. So who is this? Is this really Tony Stark and he's got his mind wiped, or is he someone else? I mean, every single issue gives you about 15 questions. Like I said, this is like Lost the comic. Every single issue or every single episode asks 20 more questions and doesn't give you any answers. So the only hope that I have is that it's going to have a huge payoff. Michael Bendis is a great writer, so I know he's probably got some plan in mind. So I mean, I'm still gonna stick with it because the art looks good. It's cool to see what's going on. I just have no freaking clue what the end game is here. What's the, and
yeah. I hope they start wrapping.
Maybe that's what they want.
I hope they start wrapping some of this up.
Maybe that's what they're going for. Maybe they're going for this just kind of like Lost, trail through, this post-apocalyptic Marvel realm. I don't know, but at this point,
well, I hope they start tying some loose ends up because it's like you got Baron Apocalypse and Baron Stark and Baron Doom, but Doom seems to run the whole realm or something. Like it still seems fragile. Apocalypse is like, Thor, don't threaten my men, get him. So I don't know. I hope they start tying stuff up. Otherwise, they're going to lose me to the point to where I'm not going to be interested. I am, however, with how this ended. They threw him down in some kind of pits or something like that, and it looked like a bunch of Venoms, crossbreeds, and like Dr. Otacon and stuff. Like, I mean, it looked like what's his name? You know what I just called?
You said Dr. Octacon, man. Is that like a Transformer?
Metal Gear Solid. That's the little dude in the codec for Metal Gear Solid. Is Otacon. I knew I said that wrong. Yeah, boy, taking it back.
I know what you were doing before you started this tape.
But yeah, Dr. Octopus, he was there. That sounded like such a corny name. I was funny.
Yeah, Dr. Octopus sounds like something from like an old James Bond movie or something like that.
Yeah, Dr. Octopus.
But no, it definitely looked. But see, here's the thing: it's like every single issue is him falling, and it ends with him being like, "Holy crap, where am I at?" And it leaves, "Holy crap, where is he at?" So I'm just kind of like, are they going to spend like 3 or 4 issues dragging us through all these different realms? And next thing you know, they're gonna, do something. Which, I mean, that's kind of a parallel to the original, but the original had a little bit more substance to it, or at least kind of. You were on a path. You knew where they were going. On this, you don't really know where he's going. He's just wandering around. So,
the original, there was definitely a focus. You had anticipation for what was to come, and you was excited to see what was ahead because it laid that groundwork really well. And right now, he don't even know what he's doing at this point. He's just trying to figure things out. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, and hopefully they start answering some of these questions.
I mean, I'll stick it out. I'll always stick it out. I'll read it regardless if it makes it in our top 3 or not.
Oh yeah. I mean, how can you not, man? It's Wolverine, man. He's slicing and dicing everybody. You got to read it.
Well, with that being said, our next one is Fight Club 2, issue number 3. Another one that it's funny that it fell on the same week with Old Man Logan. Not because I think one does what the other doesn't do. With Fight Club, you kind of have a pretty good idea where everything's going, and each issue also is kind of difficult to follow. But if you read it a second time, you can really start to kind of figure things out. But because it's based on a movie, I mean, obviously, if you haven't watched the movie, it's going to be really hard to not really know what the hell's going on. But
I don't think, man, if you didn't watch the movie,
I don't know why you'd be reading it anyhow. I mean,
yeah, I don't know why you'd be reading it. If for some reason you're reading this comic and you didn't watch the movie, for crying out loud, go watch the movie. Because I would be really lost. Like, I wouldn't understand. I guess I wouldn't be completely lost, but I definitely wouldn't have the same type of appreciation for it without that.
You just wouldn't know.
It makes it difficult in this one, which I had to read it twice because it's pretty clear cut on, Tyler Durden, swapping up from Sebastian. And this, sometimes it's just...
Well, it's because they're doing it... On the TV show, you were seeing it from one perspective the whole time. Where in this one, they're trying to show you two different perspectives, but they're showing it through a comic. So you're not... At one moment, you might see Sebastian taking a nap, like in this one, and then the next thing you know, he's Tyler and he's walking around doing something. Well, where's Sebastian? Well, that is Sebastian. You just don't know because they're only showing you him as Tyler in that moment, which means in that moment, he is mentally Tyler. So that's a little bit the hard. I mean, I can understand that can be difficult, but it's not so difficult that it takes away from the story as a whole. Obviously it looks like his suppressed other personality in Tyler probably had a lot to do with the death of his parents. Now he's also kidnapped his son, and it looks like he's planning on making their son basically this leader. He's been training his son in the meantime, which makes a lot of sense because then you look back at the first issue, and his son's over there, making soap and stuff. So his son's being taught by Tyler and by his dad, and I don't know what he wants. I don't know if he's trying to make his, Tyler's trying to make the kid into something, while at the same time he doesn't really seem to have that, and he says it several times, he doesn't really seem to have that emotional connection. So I don't really know what his play is. Maybe he's just trying to do that to wake Sebastian up or to move Sebastian into another state of mind. Either way. Yeah.
Now, he made a comment, maybe we took your son to get you back in, because Tyler needs to be out being Tyler more than just that, half an hour that he has during the shrink a couple times a week. And so we've talked about it before, he's making these steps to, to really get him in. And the part that was confusing me was, he has Sebastian going to this house with all the cronies. Nobody recognized him. And I was like, why do they not recognize who this guy is? They're talking to him the way he is. He's laying there on the porch. And then it kind of dawned on me that these are the new recruits.
Right.
He's not their leader yet because they don't. I guess they don't know
on the outside of the porch, they don't have no freaking clue who he is. He's just another guy that got beat up.
They don't know him. Even the guy who was out there giving the speeches to him probably didn't know him because they kind of did that in the movie. They let some of the newer recruits who haven't got in yet, kind of shape them up in line and preach to them and whatnot and brainwash them some. And then it was like you have Sebastian and Tyler kind of going back and forth with each other. And then it's just like, boom, Sebastian's out. Tyler Durden wakes up, and it's about to get on and cracking now. Because it makes it look at the end of this that he is now fully in control and about to take over.
That's pretty much how it looks to me. I mean, they use this whole issue is pretty much a setting up for him to kind of, he knew where he was going. He went there to look for his son. He also kind of, he had to know in the back of his mind that in the process of this, Tyler's going to get out. He's not taking his medicine. So, I guess maybe you have to think.
I got two questions for you.
Let me pose this question real fast. Think about this. Is Tyler using Sebastian at this point, or is Sebastian using Tyler?
Right now, it looks like Tyler's using Sebastian.
Wouldn't it be interesting if it turned out to be the other way around? Because at this point,
where he let him take control, at this point, so he could get to his son and then flip it on him.
I mean, that's kind of what he did. I mean, without saying it, but he knew what he was getting into. He had what's her name beat him up. He knew what he was getting into. So it'd be interesting if it finally turned out that Sebastian was able to to gain a little control and actually manipulate Tyler. That would be interesting. But go ahead. What were you going to ask me?
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, it's probable, and it definitely could turn out that way. What do you make of the kids that they got in college? You know, they killed one. They're going to kill the next one who's got a 3.2. And then he says, you know, activate, you know, number such and such, freshman. What do you think he's trying to do there?
I'm thinking back to, remember way back in the movie where they collected all the IDs? I'm assuming this is probably a more advanced version of that, you know, where like, we're going to check up on you. And they did check up on some of these people, and then they started saying, okay, you're going to do this for us, and then you're going to do this. They obviously want people in key positions. That kind of seems a thing. Like, they want to, like this person, they want them to be first in medical school here. Now, it could be for a more particular reason, and that might be something we find out later. Like, they really need somebody in school there for whatever plan he has. Or it could just be showing another development of how they're slowly but surely putting people in key positions, but they don't mind doing the long con instead of the short term. They don't mind putting a guy through college, putting a guy through med school, pulling a guy through all this stuff to then put him where they want him. So, I don't know.
Yeah, well, I just found it interesting that they were, you know, young and freshmen, stuff like that. It made me kind of think that they were building the future empire for his son. You know, he's like, look, we're already going to have people, and you know, ready for you to take the helm, and young guys coming up. Anyway, I thought it was interesting. They didn't really elaborate on it. Curious to see where that goes. Second thing is, you made a mention with it that maybe Tyler might have had something to do with his parents' death, you know, as a young kid, you know, with the arson and things like that. And there's definitely artwork suggesting that Tyler's been around since he was a kid. Don't you find it interesting that in the movie, the first time we ever meet Tyler is on the airplane, and it's the first time that they had ever encountered one another? So it's a little discrepancy. I don't know if it's something they'll ever.
Well, the difference could be
clear up or address, but I thought it was interesting. It was just something I noticed. Not that it's going to bother me or take me out. I just thought it was interesting.
As a kid, like when they even show him, it's not like he's. I never gotten the vibe that he's actually talking directly to that kid. Like he knows he's there.
Yeah, but he did though. Remember at the funeral?
He could.
Was that not him?
He could have been, but he could at the time he could have just thought he was another kid there. So if you seen somebody when you were a kid and then see him again until you're like in your 30s,
yeah, that's true.
You're probably not going to recognize him. So I mean, I don't know. I guess there could be a little discrepancy there, but I would suspect that discrepancy would be more of a discrepancy if the same person that wrote the movie was not the same person that was doing the comic. But because it is, then he obviously has thought this out. So
yeah, it's not like he doesn't know what happened in the movie.
Or that he just forgot about one particular thing. It's like, oh, I'm going to do this, and then later he's like, oh crap, I've already established this, and so I don't know. We'll see. But I think it's again a good issue worth reading. Just a quick mention, we did have 2 honorable mentions this week. We won't talk about them, but we'd be more than happy to if someone was interested and wanted to talk to them. But basically, it's We Are Robin #2 and Cyborg #1. We talked about We Are Robin #1 a while back, but #2 again was a good issue. It just didn't make it into our top 3 this week, and Cyborg, he's one of the Justice Leaguers that's never had his own comic. So, you know what? I think he should have his own comic, and I've enjoyed it. So, I think it's a decent comic. It's the #1 issue. You can get started on it right now and see where it goes. So, that's all I got. You, Richard?
Well, those are our top 3. We want you to like, favorite, subscribe, get in the conversation. Let us know what you think. If we missed some details or you have some insight or some thoughts about some of these comics that we might have overlooked or didn't pick up on, let us know. Hit us up. But until next time, we out.